The night was quiet inside the radar station, only the soft hum of machines filling the air. The alien girl, Lyra, sat alone at her post, her eyes half closed from long hours of watching empty screens. For weeks, nothing unusual had happened. Only the same blinking lights of friendly ships and the same reports of safe skies. Her people often said this job was boring, but Lyra liked it. It gave her peace. It gave her time to think. Suddenly, a sound broke the silence. Beep, beep, beep. Her eyes snapped open. Her heart jumped in her chest. She leaned closer to the glowing radar screen, at first thinking it was a glitch, maybe just a passing asteroid. But no, the signal was steady, moving with purpose. Her hands shook as she adjusted the controls. The signal became clearer. It was a ship, but not any ship she had ever seen before. Alien ships in her sector always showed familiar curved outlines on the radar. But this was sharp, straight, built with harsh angles. It looked unnatural to her eyes, like a predator cutting through the void. Her throat went dry. Her mind searched for an answer. Then one thought came, one word that made her whole body tremble. Human. Humans were myths. Old stories told to scare children. Elders spoke of them as shadows from another time. Dangerous creatures who once crossed the stars and then vanished. Some said they never existed at all, just legends from broken data records. Lyra herself had never believed they were real. Until now. She stared at the radar, the strange blip pulsing like a heartbeat. Her breathing grew heavy, every second pulling the unknown craft closer. No, this cannot be true, she whispered to herself. She tapped the system, scanned again, then again. Each time the same result came back. It was real. A ship of unknown design. A ship not from her people. Her hands gripped the edge of the console so tightly her claws scraped the metal. Should she call the commander? Should she report what she saw? Her training told her yes, but her fear held her back. What if they laughed? At her? What if they said it was a mistake? Everyone believed humans were only fantasy. If she reported it, she could be punished for wasting time. And yet, the signal was there, strong and undeniable. The seconds passed slowly, like drops of water in a cave. The radar pulse glowed brighter as the unknown ship drew nearer. She felt as if the myth itself was walking out of the shadows and stepping into her world. Her tail flicked nervously, her ears flat against her head. She could not look away from the screen. It was like staring at the eye of a beast that had just awakened after centuries of sleep. Finally, she reached for the comm switch, her finger trembling. "Control, this is Watcher Lyra," she spoke softly, her voice shaking. "I have detected an unidentified ship approaching Sector 7. Static filled the line, then a bored voice answered, "Unidentified? Probably a malfunction. Reset your system. Watcher." Her chest tightened, her eyes burning with frustration. "No, this is real. It's moving. Steady course. Design unknown." There was silence for a moment, then laughter. "You think you found a human ship? What are you, still a child?" "Humans are myths, Lyra. Go check your equipment." The line cut, her heart sank, but her fear did not. She stared again at the radar, the blip closer now. It pulsed like a warning, like destiny itself knocking on her door. She whispered to herself, "Then I am the first to see them return." Outside the station window, stars glittered, cold and silent. Her people slept peacefully on the world below. No one knew what was coming, no one believed. But she did. The impossible signal was real, and it was getting closer every second. Her mind raced with questions. Why now? Why here? What do humans want after so many ages of silence? Her fear was great, but deep inside, another feeling was growing too. Curiosity. The kind of curiosity that makes history change. She leaned back in her chair, eyes locked on the screen. The signal grew stronger, sharper. It was no ghost, no error, no dream. The myth was real. The humans had returned, and Lyra, a simple radar girl, was the first one to know. Her heart pounded like a drum. The impossible signal was only the beginning, but she could already feel it. Her life, her people, her world, nothing would ever be the same again. Lyra could not sleep that night. Even after her shift ended, the strange blip on the radar burned in her mind. She sat on her bed staring at the ceiling, her hands still trembling. She had seen it with her own eyes, a ship that did not belong to her people, but no one believed her. Her commander had laughed. The other operators whispered behind her back, calling her a dreamer, a fool. Still, the signal had been real, and deep down she knew it. She returned to her station the next evening. The room looked the same, the lights dim, the machines humming. But for her, everything had changed. Each screen felt alive. Each sound made her flinch. Her eyes locked on the radar display, waiting, hoping, or maybe fearing that the signal would return. For hours, nothing happened. Then, just before midnight, the beep, beep, beep began again. Her chest tightened. The same blip appeared, moving closer with slow, deliberate steps across the void. She leaned forward, holding her breath. It was no mistake, no dream. This ship was real. It was coming back. Lyra swallowed hard, her throat dry. She reached for the comm switch but froze. The memory of the commander's mocking voice still rang in her ears. What if she called again and they punished her? What if they accused her of spreading lies? Her people were strict. Discipline mattered more than truth. She could lose her position, her home, maybe even her freedom. Her claws tapped nervously against the console. The radar pulse blinked like a heartbeat, steady, alive. Her instincts screamed to tell someone, to warn them. But another voice inside her whispered something different. Keep it secret. Watch. Learn. Maybe they are not enemies. Maybe they are something else. She hesitated, torn between duty and fear. Her ears flicked as footsteps echoed in the hall. Another watcher entered, yawning, carrying a mug of hot drink. He glanced at her screen and laughed. Still chasing your ghost ship? You'll go mad, Lyra, he teased. She forced a smile, saying nothing. Better to stay silent than invite more ridicule. The watcher left, still laughing. She was alone again. Alone with the truth no one wanted to believe. The ship drew closer. Her heart pounded. She whispered to herself, if it's real, then why me? Why am I the one to see them? It felt like destiny, but also a curse. She ran another scan. The computer confirmed the trajectory, direct path toward her world. Her claws dug into the console. What if the stories were true? What if humans were monsters, destroyers, who once burned planets? What if they had come back to finish what they started? She felt her fear grow heavier. Images of fire and war filled her mind. She imagined her people screaming, cities turning to ash, and she, the only one who knew, powerless to stop it. Her chest tightened. She almost cried. But then, another thought flickered. Faint, but strong. What if the stories were wrong? Maybe humans were not monsters. Maybe they were explorers, seekers, just like her people once were. The idea was dangerous, even forbidden. But it burned inside her like a small flame, refusing to die. The signal pulsed again. Closer, brighter, Lyra pressed a hand to the glass window, staring at the endless stars beyond. She felt small, fragile, but also chosen. If no one else believed, then it was her burden to carry, her secret, her truth. Suddenly alarms buzzed. Her console lit up red. The station sensors detected unusual energy from the ship. Her breath caught. Were they preparing weapons? She grabbed the headset, half ready to call the commander, but stopped again. If she told them, they would order an attack, and if humans were not enemies, if they only wished to speak, then war would begin because of fear. She closed her eyes, torn apart. Fear pressed heavy on one side, doubt on the other. Her heart screamed at her to act, but her mind begged her to wait. Minutes stretched like hours. The ship hovered at the edge of the system, then slowed. It did not fire, it did not move closer, it just waited as if watching her. Her skin crawled. Was it possible they already knew she had seen them? Was the human ship staring back at her through the void? As she stared at them, the thought made her shiver. She pulled her chair close to the console, her eyes never leaving the blip. Her claws stopped shaking. Her breathing slowed. If no one else believed, then she would be the one to find out. She would not call. She would not shout. She would watch. Alone. The doubt was heavy. Was she a fool? Or was she the first witness of a truth greater than her world could bear? The signal pulsed again, steady, alive. She leaned forward, whispering softly, "Humans, if you are real, why have you come back now?" Her question drifted into the silence of the station, unanswered. But in her heart, she knew she would not have to wait long. The ship was waiting too, and sooner or later, the truth would come. Whether her people wanted it or not. The blip on Lyra's radar was no longer faint. It was sharp, clear, steady. The unknown ship was moving closer with deliberate precision. Every second it crept nearer, like a shadow crossing the stars. Her hands gripped the edge of the console. Claws tapping nervously, she whispered, "It's not leaving. It's coming for us." Her chest tightened with fear. What if it was true? What if humans had returned after ages, and now they were headed straight for her homeworld? She imagined the panic if her people discovered this. They would launch weapons, prepare for war. But she was not even sure yet. Were the humans here as enemies? Or as something else? The station around her remained calm. Other watchers yawned, sipping drinks, checking dull reports of routine cargo ships. None of them noticed what she saw. None of them cared. The human ship was invisible to their eyes, but alive in hers. Her breath shook, her heart loud in her ears. She ran another scan. The computer confirmed what she already knew. Unidentified vessel, mass unknown, design unknown, approaching fast. The trajectory was exact. It was not drifting like a lost rock. It was aiming when she stared at the glowing lines. Every ship she had ever seen had curves, smooth designs like living creatures, but this one, no. Its outline was hard, sharp, cruel in its simplicity. It was not beautiful, but it was powerful. Even its silhouette spoke of purpose, of strength. Lyra swallowed, her throat dry. She remembered the old stories. Humans were said to be builders, of steel, makers of fire. Some called them destroyers, some called them warriors, and some whispered that humans were explorers who never stopped searching. Which story was true? She could not know, not yet. Her claws hovered over the comm switch, one call to the commander and alarms would sound across the planet. But her memory of being mocked still stung. If she cried human again, they would laugh at her. If she called it a lie, she might lose everything. And worse, if they believed her, they would attack. Her people feared myths more than reality, and fear always fired first. The radar beeped, louder, faster. The human ship was entering the outer defense zone. Her whole body tensed, her tail flicking nervously. "They'll see it now. They must see it now," she whispered. But still no one reacted. Only she saw the truth glowing on the screen. The ship slowed suddenly. Her breath caught in her chest. It was close enough now for the long-range cameras to catch an image. With shaking hands, she opened the feed, and there it was. Her eyes widened, her body frozen. A massive vessel of metal, dark and strong. Lines of cold light ran across its surface like scars. Her people's ships always looked alive, curved and flowing. But this one looked forged in fire, built by hands. That shaped war. It was unlike anything she had ever known, and yet, it was real. Her ears rang as if the universe itself had just spoken. The myth was no longer a myth. She was staring at a human ship. She pressed closer to the screen, heart racing. "Why are you here?" she whispered, as if the silent vessel could hear her. For a long moment, the ship simply drifted. Its engines glowed faintly, steady, controlled, not wild, not broken. controlled, as if whoever was inside knew exactly what they were doing, as if they were waiting. Then the unexpected happened. Her console blinked red, a new alert flashing across her screen. Incoming transmission detected. Her blood froze, her throat tight. She couldn't move, couldn't breathe. Someone from the ship was trying to speak. She reached for the control, her finger trembling. If she answered, everything would change. If she ignored it, maybe the ship would think her people were hostile. The choice pressed down on her like a weight. The transmission light blinked again, steady, waiting. She whispered, "It can't be real. It can't." But it was. Someone out there, in that metal beast, wanted to talk, and she was the only one listening. Her heart beat wildly. Would it be a monster's roar, a declaration of war, or a voice that shattered every story she had ever been told? The room around her was silent, the other watchers busy with their routines, blind to the truth. Only she sat frozen, eyes locked on the blinking light. The decision was hers alone. Finally, with shaking breath, she pressed the button. Static filled the speakers, harsh and loud. She almost flinched. Then through the static came a sound that made her blood turn to ice. A voice, deep and steady, not alien, not mechanical, but something strange, raw, alive. Words she could not understand at first, but the tone was clear. A voice of command, of calm, of human. Her claws trembled against the console. She couldn't believe it, but it was real. The humans were not myths anymore. They were here. They were speaking, and she was the first of her kind to hear them. Her chest rose and fell, heavy with fear, heavy with awe. The human ship moved closer, its massive frame gliding through the stars. It was no dream, no mistake. The humans had returned, and they were coming straight for her world. Lyra sat frozen in her chair. Her mind screamed at her to call her commander to warn her people. But her heart whispered something else. Listen first. She knew in that moment that she stood at the edge of history. Her people lived in ignorance, blind to the truth. But she, Lyra, a simple watcher, she was about to speak to a myth made flesh, and nothing in her world would ever be the same again. Lyra's claws hovered over the console. Her whole body trembled as the static cleared, and then the voice came. Again, deeper this time, slower. This is the human vessel Endeavor. We mean no harm. Her ears rang, her throat tightened. She whispered, "It's true. Humans are real." The myths had become flesh, the stories had become sound. And she was the first of her kind to hear their voice. Her chest heaved as fear and awe battled inside her. Every tale she had ever been told about humans flooded her. Mind monsters of fire, warriors of steel, ghosts of history. But the voice was calm, steady, not cruel, not violent, it sounded. Almost gentle, she wanted to answer. Her lips parted, but no sound came. Her people would call her a traitor if she spoke, if she dared reply to the myth. But her heart screamed louder than her fear. Say something. You may never get this. Chance again. Her claws hovered over the response switch. Then, the command channel crackled alive. Her superior's voice thundered across the line. All units, unidentified vessel detected. Prepare defenses. All watchers report immediately. Her blood turned cold, so they had finally seen it. The human ship could no longer be hidden. Her people would attack. They would fire without hesitation, because fear always fired first. She froze, staring at her console. The humans had said they meant no harm, but her people would not listen. They would only see danger, and danger demanded war. Outside the window, the human vessel drifted closer, dark metal shining under starlight. It was massive, larger than any ship she had ever seen. Its engines glowed faintly, calm, patient, not the glow of weapons but of travel. Still, her people would not care. The commander's voice barked orders. Load the batteries. Prepare strike teams. No unidentifieds may approach the homeworld. Lyra's claws dug into her chair, her tail lashed in panic. No, they don't understand, she whispered. Her screen blinked again. Incoming transmission. Human vessel. The humans were speaking once more. She swallowed, her breath shallow. If her commander heard this, it would only confirm his fears. If she answered, she could be executed for treason. But if she stayed silent, the first chance at peace would vanish. Her heart thundered in her chest. She remembered the human's voice, calm, steady. "We mean no harm." Could it be true? Could the myths of monsters have been lies all along? Her claws shook as she pressed the private channel. She shouldn't have, she knew, but she couldn't stop herself. Static filled her headset. Then the human voice again. "Unknown station. We come seeking contact. Please respond." Her whole body froze, her mouth dry, her heart wild. She whispered back, barely audible. This is Watcher Lyra of the outer station." Her words cracked, weak, but they were real. She had spoken to a human. For a long second, silence filled the line. Then softly, the reply came. A voice. "After all this time," the human said. The tone was heavy with wonder. Not threat, not rage, but something that sounded almost like relief. Lyra's eyes stung with tears. She couldn't believe what she was doing. She couldn't believe what she was hearing. History itself was unfolding through her trembling words. But before she could speak again, alarms blared through the station. Red lights flashed, sirens screamed. The defense batteries had locked onto the human ship. Her commander's voice roared. "Unidentified vessel, you are ordered to turn back or be destroyed." Lyra's heart stopped. Her people were preparing to fire. The human ship hung silent outside, its massive form glowing faintly, still not attacking, still not moving to flee. It simply waited. The voice came through her private channel again, calm but firm. "We are not your enemy, but if you fire, we will defend ourselves." Her hands shook violently. This was it. One moment of misunderstanding could unleash destruction. Her people blind with fear, the humans calm but ready, and she was the only one standing between them. Her commander shouted orders. "Target locked, weapons at ready." Her claws gripped the console until they bled. Her voice whispered through the line. "Please, don't let this end in fire." The human did not answer. The silence was heavier than the stars themselves. Then the commander's final order rang out. "Fire on my mark." Her heart screamed inside her chest. She had no choice left. If she stayed silent, her people would start a war. If she spoke, she would be branded a traitor. But history would remember her choice. And deep in her soul, she knew what she had to do. With trembling hands, she opened the full channel. Her voice broke across the comms, desperate, loud. "Stop! They are not attacking! Listen to them, please!" The room fell into stunned silence. All eyes turned to her, her commander's face dark with rage. But the words were already out. The truth had been spoken, and outside, the human ship drifted in silence, its massive shadow looming closer, waiting for the choice her people would make. The encounter had begun, and there was no turning back. The station was filled with silence after Lyra's outburst. Her voice still echoed across the comms. "Stop! They are not attacking. Listen to them, please." Every watcher stared at her in shock. Her commander's face was red with fury. "You dare speak without order? You risk the safety of our world for a myth?" he roared. But before he could give another command, the console blinked again. "Transmission incoming. Human vessel." The voice came, deep and steady, cutting through the tension like a blade. "This is Captain Elias of the human ship Endeavor. We do not wish for battle. We seek dialogue." Lyra's breath caught in her throat. The words were clear, calm, carrying a weight of truth. For the first time, the myth spoke not through stories, not through fear, but through her station speakers. The commander's claws tapped the armrest of his chair. "Do not believe them. Humans are deceivers, destroyers. Prepare to fire." His voice shook with rage, but also with fear. Lyra rose to her feet, her legs weak. "No, listen. If they wanted to attack, they already would have. They wait because they want peace." Her voice trembled but did not break. The other watchers exchanged nervous looks. Doubt flickered in their eyes. Could it be true? Could the old stories have been wrong? The human captain spoke again. We come seeking contact after centuries. We thought your people were lost to us. We wish to talk. No more. His words were heavy but not threatening. They carried something Lyra never expected from a human: sincerity. The commander slammed his fist on the console. Lies! They want to weaken us before they strike. No, alien voice can be trusted. But even as he shouted, some of the younger watchers leaned forward. Their ears perked, their eyes wide. The human's voice had reached them too. Lyra's claws curled tightly at her side. She whispered into the private channel again. Why now? Why return after so long? The reply came softly. Because myths should not remain myths. Because we never stopped searching. And because we believe our species still have something to share. Her heart ached at those words. So simple, yet so heavy with meaning. They did not sound like monsters, they sounded like people. But her commander was not moved. His voice was sharp, cutting through the silence. All batteries prepare to fire. I will not risk our world for the lies of ghosts. Panic surged inside. Lyra? Her claws shook, her tail lashed. No, if you fire, you will doom us all, she cried. But the commander ignored her. He raised his claw, preparing to give the final order, and then the human voice boomed again, louder, firmer. Stop. If you strike, we will defend. We do not wish war, but we will not fall quietly. The entire station trembled with those words, not from threat, but from the sheer gravity of them. The watchers looked at one another. They felt it too. The humans were not bluffing. The commander's claw hung in the air. The room was frozen, time holding its breath. And in that pause, Lyra stepped forward. Her voice rang out, clear and desperate. Commander, you always told us to guard the truth. The truth is here, right in front of us. The humans are not ghosts, not myths. They are real. And they are speaking to us. If we fire now, we will become the destroyers, not them. Her words pierced the silence. The commander glared at her, with rage, but hesitation flickered in his eyes. He was afraid. Afraid of the humans, yes, but perhaps more afraid of making the wrong choice. The human captain spoke once more, his tone softer this time. Unknown station. Watcher Lyra, I hear your voice. I do not know your world, but I know courage when I hear it. We come only to talk. Please give us that chance. Lyra's breath shook, her chest tight. Her name. He had spoken her name. How? How had he known? Her claws trembled on the console, but she knew. He had been listening, really listening. The watchers whispered among themselves, some frightened, some amazed. The room was divided, the choice still hanging in the air like a blade. The commander finally lowered his claw, but his eyes burned into Lyra's. You have done this, girl. If they betray us, your name will be cursed forever. His voice was sharp as ice, but he did not give the order to fire. Not yet. The tension hung heavy. The human ship remained silent now, waiting. Lyra stood frozen, her whole body weak, but inside her a fire had begun to burn, a fire called courage. For the first time in her life, she realized the truth. Her voice had power, her choice mattered, and her people's future might rest on what she did next. She leaned toward the console, her voice soft but steady. This is Watcher Lyra. I will listen. The silence stretched. Then the human's voice returned, low and calm. And I will speak. It was not war. It was not fire. It was the first bridge between two species. A voice across space. And it had begun with her. The air inside the radar station felt heavy. Every watcher sat stiff, their eyes darting between the commander and the glowing console. The human voice had spoken, steady and calm, and Lyra had answered. The silence that followed was louder than any alarm. Her commander's claws gripped the armrest of his chair, his jaw clenched, his voice low but sharp. You have broken every rule, Watcher Lyra. You gave voice to a myth. You endangered us all. His words cut deep, but she did not lower her eyes. For the first time in her life, she stood tall. They are not attacking, she said firmly. They had the chance. If the stories were true, we would already be ash. But they wait. Because they want to speak. The commander's eyes blazed with fury. You believe a predator because it has not yet bitten you? Foolish girl. That is not peace. It is the pause before the strike. The room was divided. Some watchers nodded with the commander, fear clear on their faces, but others looked at Lyra with uncertainty. Her courage had shaken them, made them doubt, and doubt was dangerous to fear. The human captain's voice returned. I hear your fear. I do not blame you. But know this. We are not here for war. We are not ghosts, nor monsters. We are explorers. Like you once were. The commander slammed his fist against the console. Lies. We abandoned exploration long ago. It brought only ruin. And now these humans dare to speak as if they know us? But his words did not silence the room this time. Instead, whispers rose among the watchers. Explorers. Like we once were. The phrase echoed in their minds. Could it be true? Had the humans known them once, long ago? Lyra's chest tightened. She looked at her fellow watchers, their eyes filled with doubt, confusion, hope, and fear all mixing together. This was the clash of truths. Her commander's fear against the humans' calm words, and her own courage caught in the middle. She turned to the commander, her voice steady. If you fire, you will not only kill them, you will kill the chance to know the truth. Do you want history to remember you as the one who silenced it forever? Commander bared his teeth, his rage boiling. You speak like a traitor. Perhaps you already belong to them. His accusation stung. The other watchers gasped, some shrinking back. But Lyra did not flinch. Better to be called a traitor to fear than a servant to lies, she said. The commander rose from his chair, towering over her, but before he could speak, the human captain's voice cut through again. Your fear is strong, I understand. But listen well, fear does not stop the truth. It only delays it. We came because we still believe in hope. Do you? The station fell silent. Even the commander paused, his rage frozen by the weight of the words hope. It was not a word her people used often. Not anymore. But hearing it spoken in a human voice stirred something deep, something long buried. The commander snarled, his voice cracking. You dare speak of hope, human? You who once vanished from the stars like shadows. You who left nothing but fear in your wake. But Lyra saw it now. The commander was not strong, not truly. He was afraid, terrified that the myths were real, terrified that the stories of monsters might crumble into something else. If humans were not destroyers, then everything her people had believed for centuries was a lie, and lies once broken left only emptiness behind. She stepped closer to the console, her voice soft but firm. Captain Elias, if you truly come in peace, why risk your lives by approaching us? Why now? The reply came slowly. Because we never stopped searching. Because even myths deserve to be spoken to, not feared. And because your world once reached for the stars, we thought you might wish to again. Her heart trembled at the words. Her people had once been explorers, yes. But that was a truth hidden in history, buried by fear. How could the humans know? The commander roared. Enough! We will not be fooled. Load the weapons. Fire on my command. The watchers scrambled, fear driving their movements. But hesitation slowed them. Their claws hovered over the controls. Their eyes flicked toward. Lyra uncertain. Lyra's chest burned, her heart pounded. She could not let this end in fire. Her claws slammed onto the console, locking the weapon system. Sparks flew as alarms blared. The commander spun toward her, his eyes wide with fury. What have you done? Her voice cracked but carried across the room. I saved us. I saved the truth. The commander lunged toward her, claws raised, but several watchers stepped between them. They were shaking, but they stood firm. One of them whispered, She's right. If they wanted war, we would already be dead. The commander froze, his authority slipping like sand through his fingers. The room no longer moved with his fear. It moved with doubt, with hope. And doubt was enough to stop war. The human captain spoke again, softer this time. You must choose, fear or truth. We cannot decide for you. Lyra's claws trembled, but she raised her head, Her eyes burned with courage as she spoke. "We choose to listen," the commander snarled, but his voice cracked under the weight of silence. The clash was over. Fear had not vanished, but it had been broken. And in its place stood something fragile, something dangerous, something new. Hope. The radar station had never felt so still. Red lights no longer flashed. Weapons no longer hummed. Every watcher sat frozen, caught between fear and wonder. And at the center of it all stood Lyra, her claws still resting. On the console, her chest rising and falling in uneven breaths, the commander glared at her, his fury sharp. "You think you've saved us, girl? You've doomed us. The humans will use your weakness to destroy us." But his words no longer carried the same power. The other watchers no longer obeyed instantly. They glanced at one another, their eyes filled with doubt. Not about Lyra, but about him. The human captain's voice came again, steady and calm. "This is Captain Elias of the Endeavor. We will not fire. We will not flee. We came to speak, not to conquer. But the choice is yours. Do you wish to talk or to fear?" The words echoed across the room. Lyra's breath trembled. Her ears rang with the weight of them. She had never heard anyone speak like this before. Not with threats, not with anger, but with patience. It was the voice of someone who believed in his own truth. For centuries, her people had called humans a myth. Stories told to scare children at night. Ghosts of a dangerous past. But now, the ghost had a voice. A ship. A name. The myth was real, and it was speaking to her. She looked at the commander, his face twisted in rage and fear. Then she looked at her fellow watchers, their eyes wide, their claws hesitant on their consoles. They were waiting for someone to decide, for someone to break the chains of fear. Her heart pounded in her chest. She stepped forward, her voice clear. "I will answer," the commander snapped. "You dare. You are no leader, no speaker." But she ignored him. Her claws brushed the console, and for the first time in her life, she felt steady. "This is Watcher Lyra," she said into the comms. Her voice trembled at first, then grew stronger. "We hear you. We see you. We are afraid, but we will listen." The silence stretched. Her words hung in the air like fragile glass. Then the reply came, slow and calm. "Then history begins again," said Captain Elias. The station seemed to breathe. For the first time in hours, the tension in the air softened, replaced by something else. Not safety. Not yet. But possibility. The commander's fists clenched. "You've betrayed your duty, Lyra. You've betrayed us all." His voice was sharp but weaker than before because deep down, even he knew the truth. If the humans had wished to destroy them, they would have already done it. The other watchers did not move against Lyra. Some even nodded slightly, a silent agreement that the world was changing, and change could not be stopped by shouting. The human captain spoke again. "Watcher Lyra, you are the first voice of your people we have heard in centuries. You may not be a leader, but you are brave enough to speak when others hide. That makes you more than you know." Her claws shook, her chest heavy. She had never thought of herself as brave. She was just a watcher, a quiet girl in a quiet station. But now, her words carried across the stars. Her voice had reached the myths, and they had answered. The commander turned away, his face shadowed. "Do as you will, girl. But remember, if you are wrong, it will not be just your name that burns. It will be all of us." His words were bitter, but his surrender was clear. Lyra sat slowly in her chair, her legs weak. Her claws brushed the console. Her eyes locked. On the glowing blip of the human ship, her voice was quiet, but firm. "Then let us speak." The human captain's reply carried warmth. "Then let us begin." The watchers exchanged looks, whispers spreading like sparks in dry grass. Some were afraid, others amazed. But one truth could no longer be denied. The humans were not ghosts, not myths. They were real, and the first step had been taken. Outside the window, the Endeavor floated against the endless stars. Its dark hull gleamed faintly under the light of the system's sun. It did not move closer. It did not threaten. It simply waited, patient as time itself. Lyra pressed her claws to the glass, her eyes wide, her heart whispered what her mind could not yet believe. I am the first. The first to speak to them for centuries. Her people had lived in fear. But in one night, with one voice, everything had changed. A myth had spoken. A human had returned, and Lyra, a simple watcher in a lonely station, had become the bridge between worlds. She knew her life would never be the same again. Her people's world would never be the same again because the impossible had happened. The myth had become real, and the story was only beginning.